Hello everyone, this is AG47. I have some big news today. And it's not good for the US dollar. I hope you have some silver and some gold because India has just announced, along with China, that they will no longer be using the dollar as a medium of exchange to trade between the two nations. They will now use each other's own currencies. This is bad for the US because that means there's less demand for the dollars, less use of it. That means all those extra dollars will be coming home, which I've back to the U.S., which I've explained in earlier ones. Here it is. I found it earlier today. Bank of India has become the first Indian bank to offer trade settlements facility between the rupee and the Chinese renminbi or yuan from Hong Kong. This follows intense persuasions by the China Bank Regulatory Commission, which is trying to gain acceptance of the renminbi as an international currency. So this is not good. Also, they have to say the Chinese exporters want their money in the local currency, which is regarded as more stable compared to the dollar. They are also in a position to have their way because the Indian buyers do not have an alternative source of low-cost goods, said their source in the bank. This is not good for the US dollar, folks, because this is why India was the last brick to be put in place by the Chinese. The BRIC nations, right up here I have my little sign, BRIC basically abandons the dollar. BRIC means Brazil, Russia, India, and China. Those are the four fastest growing nations in the world. They all have large populations and they all have lots of resources. They're now trading amongst each other, and the one thing they do have in common is the Chinese yuan. China set up a couple years ago with Brazil, and then Russia just a few months ago they set up an exchange agreement with them, and now India. It was the last brick basically to be put into place. This is not good for the dollar. That means there's less use for it again, as I stated before. And these nations are able now to four fast-growing nations with large populations and great resources. This will form a block against the dollar. This could have been an explanation on why silver and gold rose so high today. All right, few other things I have to say today. I read Jim Willey. He's a great analyst. He also has a website called thegoldenjackass.com. He's made some very accurate forecasts in the past, and he's also making one for gold. And here's one of it. Here's his targets for gold and some explanations. He says, consider the estimated price target for gold. If the monetary aggregate is based in gold held by the U.S. government in reserves, my argument and the argument of many informed analysts is that the U.S. government has no possession of gold whatsoever, having leased and sold the entirety of Fort Knox, then sold European gold, then sold Chinese gold. So the recent estimates of $7,000 an ounce gold or $8,000 an ounce gold make little sense if the monetary aggregate is divided by a gold reserve quantity that is zero. That's right. No gold, it doesn't matter. No gold compared to infinite dollars means an infinite price. He thinks this is nothing, this $1,400. I tend to agree. The U.S. has not had an audit forever of its U.S. gold reserves in Fort Knox. Here's another thing. This is what he says about silver, our favorite metal. It should always be noted that silver has gained much greater acceptance as a monetary asset. The Chinese government in February announced a new objective to put into action for diversifying the reserve assets to include silver and platinum. That's right. Just like they have gold as a reserve asset, now they're going to include silver and platinum. This is huge news. That's pretty big coming from him. Never before has the silver metal been included in National Sovereign Reserves Management, an unprecedented event. A lot of unprecedented is happening recently. And here is his analysis coming up for QE3. So the advent of QE3 is a lock. This is what he's forecasting. The Ben Bernanke must sell QE3 from urgency and national survival. His credibility has never been lower, still falling rapidly with each passing month and each fresh chaotic outbreak, like Egypt and Libya. Each QE chapter makes the next far easier to sell, since desperation and ruin are nearer to the system and its participants. Prepare for QE to infinity. He is a pretty strong believer in that these QEs will just keep going until the dollar is zero. And lastly, he states about our banking system. He goes, tragically, the U.S. government will continue to fund their black holes instead of restructuring like Iceland. Remember, they were in bad shape earlier. They're now back on their feet. The battle cry of too big to fail for the big U.S. banks is a call to sustain the corruption and to ensure no recovery ever. Yeah, there won't be a recovery if you keep supporting the same dead banks. These are like walking zombies. It's like putting somebody who's dead on life support. Yeah, you can keep their lungs and heart going, but the minute you take it off, they die. So basically, these banks that have gone bankrupt, like JP Morgan, they're all bankrupt. It's just a matter of acknowledging the fact that they're dead and let the U.S. and unfortunately the U.S. government has them on life support and won't pull the plug. And the U.S. government would rather sacrifice the entire country than these banks and themselves. Remember, the government is only an organization and nothing else. It's not the country. We are the country. Anyway, I hope this helps, and I'm planning on making another one soon, another video soon. Remember my motto: trust in God. Everyone else pays in silver.